Now for the latest on what is happening at the other end of the relief pipeline, we're going to go to Esme Murphy in Florida. President Bush will pay a visit to hurricane victims in Homestead, Florida, where the military relief effort is in high gear. But Esme found just a few miles away, the massive effort isn't making a dent.
In and around Homestead, the military is building tent cities. They will house 43,000 people. That is still less than a fifth of the 250,000 people who are still homeless. The creation of the tent cities comes on the eve of President Bush's visit here. Many victims are still angry with the president for what they see as his slow response.
People I know are hurting, and a lot of help could have come much sooner. I really believe that President Bush could have cut some red tape last Monday. We could have had troops in here on Tuesday.
But away from the massive troop deployment, just a few miles from Homestead, there are towns that are hard hit too, but there is no massive relief effort here. Only an occasional truck like this one will come by, and there are people who are still hungry. Without relief supplies, people in this town of 16,000 are struggling. And for one man today, the result was tragic. Pedro Garcia's pregnant wife went in search of food and ended up losing her child.
I just get called right now, from the rescue department. My wife, she went to the FM, that's a ready station, to get some help, and she collapsed and she lost the baby. I don't know. Everything is terrible here.
Down the street, 9-year-old Juan Perez cried as he told us about how he hadn't eaten.
I don't got no food. I don't eat that much. I don't do nothing like I used to.
We gave Juan and his mother Rosa, the only food we had with us, a bag of cookies.
This is the first thing I ate today.
Are you still hungry?
Mm-hmm.
Juan, his mother and father are sleeping on this one mattress. Some parts of the home are rubble. There is no electricity. With all that has happened and no sign of help, this little boy is clearly overwhelmed. That little boy was so sad. The only thing that made him smile the entire time we were there was when we told him we were from Minneapolis and St. Paul, and he said, oh, the Twins. And he said that Kirby Puckett is one of his favorite players, and he talked about the World Series and Kirby Puckett's catch and Kirby Puckett's home run, and it really put a smile on his face. He said he wants to become a Major League Baseball player. Tragically, the field where he plays has also been destroyed. Now, we talked to Navy supply officers here in Homestead about the fact that relief supplies are not getting into these outlying areas. The officer admitted that he knows that, but he said the military is doing the best it can. However, the military's best effort is clearly not helping all the victims of Andrew yet. Back to you now down in Minneapolis, or Colleen rather, I'm sorry.
Esme, if the military's best effort isn't good enough, what can be done?
Well, it's so difficult, I think, because the damage is so vast. However, I think one problem here is that they have all these people, and it's not terribly well organized. As you heard from Brad Good's piece about the relief problems getting supplies down here to Minneapolis, it's compounded here in the Florida area. It's tragic that I'm standing in front of tons of food, and just 12 miles away is that family and that child who is hungry. That's just 12 miles away. And clearly, the organization is, I think, probably not the best it could be, but it is a huge task.
All right, thank you. It seems that there would be some way to cut through that red tape.
We have reported a lot of stories of suffering and loss in the wake of Hurricane Andrew, but among the hundreds of thousands of struggling people in Florida and Louisiana, there are individual acts of kindness almost every day. Esme Murphy joins us tonight with one of them.
Well, that's right, Don. When photographer Dave Cheney and I first met Juan Perez, the Minnesota Twins were not one of his favorite baseball teams, although he is a very big baseball fan. But that changed as a result of some things that happened today. Now, Juan lives in a town called Perrine, which is 12 miles north of here, north of Homestead, that is. Perrine, unlike Homestead, has no Red Cross tents handing out hot meals, no shelters, no relief supplies coming in a steady stream. And that makes coping with the hurricane and its aftermath especially tough, and it's especially tough for the children like Juan. So he was walking in what was left of his neighborhood, looking for someone to play catch with. Juan started to cry as he told us he was frightened and hungry.
I got no food. I don't eat that much. I don't do nothing like I used to.
The only time he cheered up that day is when we told him we were from Minnesota. He told us about one of his all-time favorite players, Kirby Puckett.
That's a strong arm.
Today we came back to see Juan. He told us things are improving.
Every day I'm doing better. But now I'm living with my sister trying to help me too.
He brought the family some food and a special present for Juan from the Minnesota Twins.
Kirby Puckett.
Juan seemed thrilled, even with a Puckett poster that had gotten wrinkled during the shipping. On Tuesday, the Twins were number 2 to the Yankees on Juan's list, but no longer.
The best team I like is the Minnesota Twins.
Really? This is a little bit of a change. The Twins are now your favorite team?
Yes.
And he had a special message he wanted to deliver to the Twins.
Every Twins out there, thank you for everything. If you need anything, just call me or come to my house.
And that little last word from Juan was especially touching, considering that here's a child who has nothing, who's offering to help others. And you really see that with a lot of the victims here, despite their incredible losses and the incredible hardships they continue to live with. They are always, many of them, trying to help others. Now, psychologists, though, are saying that things are still very tough. Juan, for example, is having nightmares every night, waking up 4 and 5 times a night, scared that the hurricane is going to come back and take his family away from him. And Don, the psychologists are saying they are seeing an incredible number of post-traumatic stress disorder cases, especially amongst children here.
Thank you very much, Esme.